Psych. Hey everyone, yeah, welcome to the live stream. It's been a while, I think, since the last one. It was a good couple of weeks back, to my knowledge. The problem is, in the summer, everybody's got better things to do than chat online, so it just goes that way.
It's
And
true.
even next week, I've got 4 days off blogging planned for a little
Ooh,
hiking trip. So
nice.
yeah, just up to the Yorkshire Dales for in my area. So walk up some hills. That's what I do to clear my head, really. But yeah, cheers for anybody who does turn up to this. I'll be interested to know what the numbers are during and after the fact, purely because what we're doing today is kind of a bit of a Spirit Island special.
Hmm.
So it's obviously you've heard me rag on about it for the last couple of months, and Jona here from One Pip Wonder, backed by special request, is also a
Here I
Spirit
am.
Island fan. So we figured we've got to do something on spirits at some point, and some people have requested that we talk about spirits we like. I was like, all
Yeah.
right, fine, let's do it. It was a nice quick one to arrange, not too difficult to
Right.
get a
It's easy
short
to just
list.
talk about. Yeah.
Yeah, it's easy to talk about, although it was a lot harder to try and rank five
It was
spirits. Is like,
hard.
not to mention play a lot of them, but we'll get
Yeah.
onto
Well,
that.
that's why it was good timing for us because you had just gotten Jagged Earth, right? So,
Yeah,
and I'm kind of a slow, like a late bloomer as far as Spirit Island. So I hadn't played all of them. Actually, had a video about the 10 spirits I hadn't played a
yeah.
couple weeks ago. So we were kind of like almost have the same experience level as far as the spirits we tried.
Well, have you played more since that video?
I have.
I was gonna say because that'll
Actually,
be
I have played two more that were on that list.
because I
So,
have because I have seen that video. In fact, while we're on the subject, obviously we've got the the bright and colourful one here. Here we go. Yeah, 10
that's right.
the spirits I've not played and why. And it's like this is actually a good fun watch, I'll say, because I wanted to know exactly
Well,
which
thank
ones you
you.
had. I wanted to know exactly like why you wouldn't play certain spirits. It's like, okay, cool. And I must admit, when I was trying to guess your top five tonight, I kind of based some of that on there.
Off of
Although
that, yeah.
if you've played more since, then obviously I might get surprised in that. But for those who have no clue exactly who you are, although shame on you if you don't, for those after the fact, I've got your channel up. Why don't you start off?
All right. Well, my name's Jona, and that's my channel, One Pip Wonder. And I started playing board games a couple years ago, and I started submitting videos to the Dice Tower early on. That was really where I got sucked into the uh, content creation passion. So I just started doing more and more videos, and really what you see is the growth of my hobby and board games. So I have a lot of things like as my children have gotten older, I am reviewing more and more kids games, and we're starting to homeschool, so a lot of those games are more educational based and why they're important for them and growing as little kids. And then the hobbies that my husband and I share. Like we love to play Spirit Island, we love to play Dungeons and Dragons, and then I just my personal taste in board games are like family weight, puzzly type games. So I have a lot of that sort of medium weight gaming as well. So it's quite a variety as far as game taste, but it's just what we're doing. So I cover what our family's interests are.
Yeah, it's a good variety there. It's got that family atmosphere with just like the font you use. I mean, how long does it take you to do a thumbnail?
Oh my gosh, I love doing thumbnails, and I've gotten a lot better at them because I save my different layers from time to time, but I don't know, like 45 minutes or so. Not long enough. I love doing thumbnails.
I don't think I'd take that long to do my ones or something. It's like I think I'd lose my mind if I tried to
Oh,
take
I
an
love
hour to do my
Photoshop,
thumbnails.
so yeah.
That's the thing. I've tried to learn Photoshop. I can't grasp it at
You know,
all. It's a nightmare.
Photoshop, I've been doing Photoshop for like 15 years now, and I started in a career in photography, so I already had those tools. So it's just one of those things. If you have to learn Photoshop out of necessity for doing thumbnails, I am totally with you, Luke. It's too much work. There's easier ways to do it.
That's the thing. I just I tried to learn it. I even tried doing a little mini course on it, and I was still none the wiser. It's like half of the language that's used in it is just alien to me. I don't know.
I've only scratched the surface of Photoshop. I'm constantly amazed at the tools you can like find under like windows and folders in Photoshop. I'm like, I had no idea I could do this. So it's just one of those crazy programs. Anyway,
Fair enough. As they
but
go, but hashtag supports of all creators. Get some more subs under One Pip Wonder, especially if you're into families. Into families? Have families. That's more a
yeah,
better way to
families,
do it.
yeah.
Are you into them, or do you have a family? That's the best way to do it. But that, because I'd say a lot of my stuff varies. I mean, I like light games, medium, and heavy, but I don't.
Hmm.
And I still do some family weight games, but I don't. The only family I'm playing games with is my parents and my brother
Right.
occasionally, and that's more like gateway level, like minus levels. I've got to really dumb it down for them, unfortunately. But I'm not
Yeah.
playing with kids very often, so if people ask me, you got something that you recommend my son could play, and he's 8, it's like, you tell me. I mean, I underestimate the intelligence of kids, so I don't know. I'm not the best person to ask. Whereas
Tell
someone
them
like Jona,
Karuba. Karuba's awesome.
that is one that would come to mind. I've still not played it myself, but yeah, obviously you want a kids expert and talk to Jonah rather than me. That's the way I see it. But yeah, we're not on about Photoshop. This is Spirit Island,
Sorry,
so
yes.
that's not your fault. I'm the one talk. But yep, Spirit Island. So yeah, we've been banging on about this game for a bit, and with good reason. We've both given it 10 out of 10s. We
Mhm.
both love it, and I must admit, as I said with I think the top 10 I did a while back, the ones that needed the second play with the nerd shelves. The This was a slower burn because the first time I played it was a bad teach, 3 players, didn't know what I
Mhm.
was doing early on in the hobby, and I'm like, what? I mean, I saw the potential, but I just thought this is really long for a 3-player game, and I don't got a
Yeah.
clue what I'm doing here. So a few years elapsed. Then I played it again with some friends who I know locally who are bigger fans than I am by far. That's saying something, but they taught me a proper 3-player game, and I got to play a Spirit and understood it a lot better. I'd had more
Mhm.
gaming experience, and the teach was a lot better as well. That got me enough confidence to then get the base game with Branch and Claw to actually play it further.
Yeah.
And then after that, it just became almost half an addiction. So trying to, but
Yeah.
it's just all there. So I mean, just the sort of general thing is because a lot of people are a little confused. It's like, why do I actually like this game? They think I shouldn't like it. And it's like,
Yeah.
well, it's not like I don't like complex games, guys. I got enough of them on my shelf. I do like some heavy games. But with this one, this is something that Great Indian Games are very good at doing. I'm big on theme. They do well with theme. And
I
with this
agree.
one, they also do well on replay value. Like, they'll give me all the variety in the
Oh my
world I could
gosh.
ask for with differentiation. And that's what Spirit Island basically is in a nutshell. It
It
is
is.
insanely complex, but it's such a rich thematic puzzle. It's not just a dry cube pushing puzzle. It's
Mhm.
actual, right, okay, these spirits feel like the spirits they should be. I'm playing a river spirit. Okay, what's it do? This and this. That feels right, and there's
Yeah.
the puzzle itself is cool anyway. Like, it feels like a Euro style puzzle, but all these cards that you play, when to play them fast and slow, getting the elements, how spirits work with each other, although I do play solo most of the time, but still. And it's just such a rush for me. I don't know. I couldn't believe it has got to this point where I'm like 10 out of 10, love it to bits. I mean, you can check out my
Yes.
review to watch me giggle like a schoolgirl over this thing, but it's, I would say, it's just won me over big time.
Well, I'm really glad to hear it. For me, it was kind of a long history. Like, we started playing it when it first came out. We got the first Kickstarter, and it took me a long time to appreciate the base game. Just the whole process of like building, exploring, building, and ravaging, and what you need to do to address those phases, those exploring phases. Took me forever to get my head around that. And then on top of that, mastering the different spirits. Just it took me a while to get it. And then I got to the point where I wanted to try other spirits, and that was a big thing for me to take on. But on top of that, my husband, who I play with almost all the time, is more interested in the difficulty levels and experimenting with the new adversaries. And that made it hard for me to try different spirits. I would tend to stick with my spirit and we would go just make it
Hmm.
harder and harder. So we got better, but I didn't get better in the different skills that Spirit Island presents to players. Does that make sense? Like the
Yeah, the
spirits require different things. Like they're all a different puzzle, like you say.
hmm.
And so if you just keep doing the same spirits, you don't get to try like maybe a spirit is better at controlling where the invaders are going to go, and some are better at doing things during the build phase, or
Hmm.
I don't know. It's a lot to think about, and you really do have to learn. But I think I'm a better gamer just from learning this game.
Well, your approach is different to mine, and says because you've taken a spirit and played it to death, but at different
Mm-hmm.
difficulty levels. Whereas my initial, like, God knows how many games I've played in that have been, I want to try all the different spirits out. So I
Yeah.
wouldn't call myself an expert with any spirit. I mean, well, even my favorite top five I'm doing here, I wouldn't consider myself an expert with them. I'm sure people could teach me God knows how much about them, but they're still just enjoyable ones. But I'm always like, right, I've tried the spirit. Oh, that felt really different. How's this one
Mm-hmm.
go now? How's this one? But then on the flip side, the only time I've played anything above difficulty 3 has
Mm-hmm.
been on any adversary has been with the friends I mentioned in the free players, because I know
Gotcha.
they're competent, and even though I'm looking at what this is broken, how are we supposed to beat this kind of thing? They
Right.
We work together and we do eventually
And
beat
you
it.
do
So it's
it.
like
Yeah.
oh, it is possible to beat the higher difficulties then.
It
But
is. Yeah. And
but
Daniel and I, like, we had goals. Like, we tried to beat the highest adversary level. I forget which one it was, if it was Britain or I
England,
couldn't tell. Yeah.
England was
England.
originally the worst. Yeah.
Okay. So that was like a goal we had. So we just kept playing with the same. Well, I think Daniel would try different ones, but I kind of, like you said, I just stuck with my go-tos, and we did eventually beat it. So yeah, it is just a very different experience. And now that we're playing Jagged Earth, we've kind of pulled back in the difficulty levels so we could experiment with these new spirits. So that's been very fun, and I've grown in so much confidence playing more complexity level spirits. So yeah, I feel like before the pandemic, Spirit Island wasn't even on my top 10, and now
Well, also, it's only
I
recent.
it's really grown. It's really been a big game. It's just risen. I
Hmm.
don't know if it's my number one. I think it's almost my number one game at this point because we just play it all the time. And now I'm playing it solo, and that's a totally new experience. So I don't know.
Whereas I'm more used to it. Yeah, I mean, I got a bit. If this doesn't end up in my top, I've got to do my top 100 eventually soon. If this doesn't end
Yeah.
up, it's got to end up in the top 20. There's no way it can't. In the top
Yes.
10,
Yeah.
possibly. Who knows? It's
You
going to
never.
be a.
Yep.
It's going to be fun to fight, because this is one of those games that I've played a lot, which can happen if I like a game and it's brand new to me, like this one was. But then it's that feeling of, right, yes, I enjoyed this. Now, how much do I want to get this out again and play it? And it's like
Mm-hmm.
a lot.
Yeah.
While it's on the shelf, I want to get it. Even if I'm playing it on Steam or Tabletop Simulator, I'm like, I want to try that combination now. But even then, this is one of those few games where I've played it the once with the Spirit solo, got it done in an hour or something, because
Mm-hmm.
I tend to overthink my turns a bit because I'm still getting used to the tactics.
Well,
But
an hour
then,
sounds pretty fast to me. So.
yeah, hour and a quarter, it shouldn't be any longer than that even for me, but that's with one Spirit. But then as soon as I'm done playing it, it's like, oh, gee, I want to play it again. Like,
Yeah.
playing it straight away. That doesn't happen a
Yeah.
lot of games, to play it twice in a row that aren't campaign games. So
Right. Right. And
it
the experience of playing it with multiple players is totally different than solo. Like when you
mm,
can say, I'm going to take care of this for you so you can do this, like it's like this magical thing happens that doesn't happen with solo. Like it's an awesome solo game. But when you start assisting other spirits and pumping each other up, it's so cool.
it was on that one thing that's someone mentioned, Kent Changa. Sorry if I'm mispronouncing that name, but yeah, have you seen one guy playing 24 spirits solo on TGS? I can't remember. I can't remember if it was
I did see that.
24. Yeah, I thought it was just a six player that he was soloing, but no, apparently it was even more spirits, and it's just like, I just think that's mental. I'm sorry, this game's complex enough with one spirit sometimes. Two, fair enough. I wouldn't want to control more than two at a time, let alone 24. 24. That's ridiculous. And how big's the table got to be?
Yeah,
The
someone from
24
Vancouver
separate
sent it to
boards.
us, and I was like, no, that doesn't sound like my speed.
I mean, you can, as they people have evidently pimped out a lot of their copies here, and I mean, if you've
Mhm.
seen my expansion reviews that I did, and that I've got the folded space insert for this, which works wonders. Although, well, works wonders. It does work wonders with one box. Once you've got the second one for the second box, you find that there's quite a lot of space available. So it's like because it's essentially the same insert repeated, and Jagged Earth just had a lot of like rinse
Mm,
repeat stuff. But
I see.
like I say, it stores it in 2 boxes. I'm happy. Do I have a fancy crate for it all? Because I've seen that around as well with the
I
logo.
do.
No, I don't. Yeah, you've got that. I don't. I don't think it exists in the UK, and even then, I think that would
Oh
probably just be
no.
over. Well, I don't know if it's easy to get round here. Maybe it
Yeah.
is, but even then, I just think it's probably overkill. So, yeah, I mean, yeah, is he still alive? I'm not entirely sure I would be after that. So, and apparently, you can also add an additional board with a card. Is that? Oh yeah, is that an adversary one
Oh,
or one of the
yes, you
scenarios?
can for what is it? Fractured
Split the
gaze.
sky.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's
yeah.
totally a thing he does. He adds a new
Oh,
board.
great. Oh yeah, he would, wouldn't he? Yeah. So got Mad Dot and hey, old Cookabuki.
Hey, Kabuki Kid.
Kabuki's always around. So yeah, generally we love this game. It's a great one
Hmm.
for us. I don't need to pimp it out any more than I already have. It's already done the job for me. But I mean, what have I got here? I'm just thinking because I usually forget to log some of my plays, especially if they're apps. But I've still got 23 on here already. So that's like 23 I've actually recorded. There's probably more than that
Yeah,
that I've
right.
played, just in the sense that I might have played it with people, and then obviously the first thing I do, especially if it's multiplayer, is not go right. We've had fun with that game. Hang on, give me a sec.
Let me record. Yeah.
Okay, now we can resume like conversation. It's like no, it's like I'm like distracted at the time, probably with a couple of drinks and that. So it's yes, it's a bit of a maverick one. And yeah, Kabuki, you're a little bit late. We've just mentioned about the 24 spirit guy. So yeah, that's a little bit crazy, and that's way above what I want to do. But yes, so as I say, I'm not exactly the best one to ask for strategy guides, as I've tried to play as many spirits as I can before doing this, and obviously that means not playing a ton of them as
Right.
often.
And for
Whereas you,
myself, yeah, I'm definitely not an expert at all. In fact, most of the time, my husband's like, Jonna, come on.
yeah,
Oh,
so,
you can't let that blight. I'm like,
yeah.
so.
I've still got to try some of the scenario. I haven't even actually tried a lot of the scenarios. I need to try some of them. I've tried like the adversaries, but not the specific scenario
Yeah, we
ones.
haven't done any of the scenarios either.
Hmm,
So
I've got a lot of catching up to do.
there's so much content.
Hello to Nerd Shells. I'm
No
actually
worries.
surprised you're here because didn't you just have a table talk live stream a second ago? Because which I couldn't make because I was preparing for this. It was kind of like, but I'm surprised. Maybe that's finished. Maybe that's finished now, and they've just come straight away.
Yeah.
We
So
appreciate it though.
well, when we get started, I just wanted to say, just so people know, like I said, I normally play 2 player, so that is the bulk of my experience. And I mean, I had played multiple players, but most of these spirits are based off of my experience playing 2 player. And then the things that I tend to gravitate towards, as far as playing Spirit Island, is I like the low complexity spirits because I have trouble focusing on one aspect of this game or multiple aspects of the game. So it's easier. The low complexity spirits are more pared down, and I just enjoy that level of play a lot more. But not all these spirits are that way. It's just what I tend to like. And then I like spirits that have very strong themes, or at least themes that
Mm.
interest me. So that's a big thing, is I go for the spirits that I enjoy their themes. I like the offensive spirits that just cause a lot of damage. And then
All right.
I like the ones that offer a lot of strong teamwork aid to other people.
Okay.
Like, I think
Yeah.
that's a big part of the
Don't all the
experience for
spirits
me.
technically do that?
They all do it to some degree, but I don't know. There's some of them where like that's a main key thing that they do
Right.
that
I can think of
the
a
other
couple of
ones wouldn't
spirits that,
offer. But
yeah.
you're right. Like, all of them have some aspect of teamwork or
Mm.
helping the other players.
Yeah, I don't want to go too much into detail as to which specific, like, because each of the spirits has effectively got a playstyle. If I go into River surges in surlight sunlight here. I went hiking earlier this
Yeah.
morning. I think I'm probably still like mind still fuzzled from it, but yeah, they've got these like summary of powers down here. I don't want to go into
Oh
too much
yeah.
detail as to which ones I prefer out of these because I think that will give away too much as to what my spirits are. But that will come clear pretty quickly into the into the
Gotcha.
five anyway. But there's definitely, yeah, teamwork ones are good, fun to do. But then I do play in terms of the background. Like I say, you've just said predominantly two player. For me, it's like got I've played some multiplayer, but for the most part, I've played solo, and that's not even two-handed. Occasionally two-handed,
Gotcha.
but for the most part, it's been a true solo. One spirit, one board, learn the spirit, like get the basis of it down, then move on to another spirit.
Yeah.
And we do have to stress we haven't played every single spirit in the
True.
box, either
Yeah.
of us. I know for a fact I have not played 3 specific spirits, and I'll, oh, well, spoiler alert. Why don't I just eliminate those from that? I have not played Starlight,
Mm-hmm.
Fractured, or Finder. I've
Okay.
not played those 3, and that's mainly just due to time, but also because I wanted to go in order of complexity as I was learning the game, and these are
Oh
the
yeah.
3 that are very high.
True.
So they
Yeah.
were the last ones on the list. And as much as I would love to play Starlight at some point, in fact, that's the one that's next. I'm not sure if I'll like Finder, but as I read Fractured, my mind just explodes because the board
Yeah.
on that one is just so complicated. And Starlight's not exactly an easy one either. And I'm just like, am I going to enjoy this or is this going to be a step too high of what I've got to deal with? So those 3 I have not played.
Gotcha.
I'll get those out now.
I haven't played those either.
We'll leave it at that one. I always say we don't want to eliminate too many off the list. So that's fine. But yeah, we have not done 3 there. So anyone else in? Hello, Lillian. Not sure how far along. We have literally just introduced Jona, obviously. So we know everyone knows who she is, and we've just talked about why we like Spirit Island. And I don't think we've explained much about what the game was about, though. But I mean,
That's true.
very briefly, you're on an island. You've got invaders who are basically the humans. They're on the island. They're trying to destroy it, build on it. They're trying to build on it, and you know what humans do to nature? They destroy it. In the end of the day, this is basically Fern Gully, the Euro game, and with this one, you play as a role.
Finally.
It pretty much is that. You play as the role of one of these spirits, and you team up with the other players as a co-op to fend off the invaders. You kill them off. You send them packing in fear. You use all these different power cards and the abilities of your spirits, which are all unique, to chase them away. How you
Right.
do it is down to your spirits, and you can either, as you go through the game, the more fear you generate, the more like the better your win condition can be. So it depends how long you can
Yes.
keep the game going. But as with all co-ops, there's several ways to lose based on the scenario, and there is a timer for how long before the invaders get
Right. The
entrenched in
invaders.
and don't care. So that's a very brief overview. Sorry I didn't do that earlier, but
No, you did good. That's a good job.
I think most people watching this will have some idea of Spirit Island anyway. So we shall see.
Probably.
That is true. If not, they can shout at me in the comments later. So, all right, on with it. Not
All
forgetting the
right.
timestamps on this one.
Am I beginning, I'm assuming?
Of course, guess
Okay.
first.
All right. So my first one is, I have my cards right here. This is the spread of rampant grain. And this spirit I enjoy because it is highly thematic in the idea of a vine that just won't go away. I think we've all, if you have a yard, then you're trying to get those vines out. They never really go away. It takes years to pull them out. This is this spirit. So if the spirit can remove its presence from a land to defend in that land, and I believe like it prevents anything from being destroyed in that land. Wait, what is it? It prevents where it would ravage or build.
Yeah.
It prevents it if you take your presence off the board. Now that presence is destroyed, but you may return it to the board instead of taking a presence off of your track. You can take one of your destroyed presents and put it on the board. So you're always there. Your presence doesn't go away in this game. I really like that aspect. And on top of it, it has slow powers, it has fast powers in the innate powers. And you're defending and you're causing damage. So I just, this is a good old standby for me. Like I played this one a lot and I really enjoy it.
Yeah, this one doesn't have a problem getting on the board because most of them you have to pick a growth option to get presents on. This one has that, but it also just has one automatic, so it's like it's just gonna
So
happen.
you're always going on board. I
So
really like that.
it's always going on. This I have to admit, like before we were doing this list, I did mention to Jonah before we started or say that I'd written down what I thought was 5 of her spirits. Didn't put this at 5, but I did put this on your list. This was on your. This was on the. I've guessed 5. I've guessed Jonah's spirits, and even though I'm going to get the rankings all wrong, this is definitely one of them I got. So I'm 1 for 5 so far.
Very nice. Very nice.
But yeah, Spread of Rampant Game's a fun one. It quite a simplistic sort of presence track, and you know, one of these, there. But I just like the fact that, yeah, it does get the presence on the board, so you don't have to worry about those turns where you reclaim cards and nothing happens. Like, you don't feel like you've improved when you get your cards back. This time, you always are improving.
Right, right.
And if you've got one of the spirits who can help you get presents off your board, I think there's only 1 or 2 that are capable of that, but there's, you know, they have their ones there. Then you team up with Rampant Green, and it really is Rampant Green. It's kind of ridiculous. So
yeah, that's true.
I'm mad, but yep, does it. And that's literally the best phrase I could think of for it. Choke the land with green. That is, if you basically want to turn the entire island into one great big lump of moss, this is the spirit that you do. That's essentially how it works.
Yep.
We got those. Oh, I admire your spirit. That, no pun intended. I admire your spirit, Lillian. I haven't even played Spirit Island yet, and you're turning up to a Spirit Island focused one. So I hope we don't confuse the heck out of you, because I won't be. You know, I will forgive you entirely if you're like so confused. But yeah, I think anybody who has played the game in this chat is probably going to be like us. You know, they've rated it 10s. It's like a favorite and that, or they're interested. So, you know, even if you don't understand what we're talking about when we mention terminology and stuff, then
I'll try to explain as we go a little bit. But
there's only so much we can do. It's too complex of a game and that, you know. But I mean, Jonah's done a review on it before. I talked about it on a lot of our videos. I've done a review of it and the expansions recently. So there's stuff around to. Exactly, yeah. We've got videos on it, but there's only so much we can explain every single rule here, so that's not going to work. But yep, Rampant's a pretty solid one. So yeah, 1 for 5. I'm going with. Right, so one big thing about this game is that you know, I do, as much as I've left the very high complex ones till last, that doesn't mean that I don't like the high complexity ones. But the low ones are still pretty sweet. And one of the things in this game that you've got to contend with, which can be very brain-burny, is having to deal with the fact of, oh, hang on a minute, this is fast, so I can use it now. This one's slow, so I got to use it then. And that's all fun, but it is quite refreshing when you don't have to actually care about that. And that's why Lightning Swift Strike primarily is one of my favorite ones to play, because the basic deal with it is that Swiftness of Lightning one, for every element you have, basically when you play cards, the elements that are printed on them, you total them up and you get to do more powers. It's really cool. But for every one of those purple elements you have, air I think it is, you get to use a slow power as if it was fast. And because you're playing so many of these cards, it basically almost equates to every power you have can be fast if you want it. That is so refreshing sometimes. I don't have to care about slowness anymore. I mean, some of them you might want to be slow, but a lot of the times it's like, no, I want it now. Whether that's because of my bad tactics or bad play, but sometimes I just want to, you know, I don't want to have to think about that. The other thing is, occasionally I do want to just blow up things, and that is essentially what Lightning Swift Strike is. Looking down on here.
It takes out whole houses.
It basically is that. I mean, that offense... That's offense. So, I mean, just sort of briefly explain these for the new ones. Offense, so obviously attacking power. Control, how much can they manipulate the table state in order to, like, remove threats from one area and stick them in others. Fear is the other way to win the game. Generate fear. You can trigger events, and obviously it helps your win condition. Defense, self-explanatory. How well can you protect the land from the invaders when they start damaging it? And utility is kind of a weird one. It's kind of like if they got some weird tricks up their sleeve that they can use, you know, something outside of there. But with this one, yeah, I like that flexibility with the first powers. Blowing up stuff is fun. It's nice to just basically go, oh, it's a beautiful little house you have. Boom! like repeatedly throughout the rest of the game. And
Yeah, pretty much.
and one thing I do like is even though the artwork on the cards is a little bit hit and miss, and the board doesn't exactly look like much, I do love the artwork on the spirits themselves. And there's just something
Yes.
about a bird made out of lightning that's just
Lightning,
awesome.
that you're right. That is pretty awesome.
It's like that's like I'm not even sure I'd be fearful of that. I'd just be like mesmerized by it, right up
Beautiful.
to the point, right up to the point where it blows up my house. But yeah, it's a good one. This is like one of my more preferred low complexity spirit ones to say. Just I think it was actually might have been the first one I played once I got my own copy. It wasn't the first one I played when I can't remember who I played when I was being taught it. It might have been via the Stone Dude Vitality one,
Okay.
Strength for the Earth. But I can barely remember that game. And then when I got taught it properly, I was a different spirit. But I think when I opened up my own copy and said, right, now I'm going to really learn this game, this was the first spirit.
That's the one. Yeah,
And
it's a
because
great one for beginners for sure.
that is true, actually. We can certainly recommend that. If you're very new to the game and you want to learn this in the most basic way possible, I think Lightning Swift strikes best because the idea of not having to care about slow and fast powers just makes your first game so much easier to contend with, And once you've got the hang of how the slow and fastening works, then you can just move on to the other low complexity
It's
ones.
true. Yeah.
And
And
yeah,
it's so fun. It's really fun.
always fun blowing stuff up. That's what it
Yeah.
is. I mean, come on. Surely that's the case. It's yeah. What's wrong with that? I get the idea that what Mark's saying here actually was it swiftness of lightning. Whilst really good to me, felt like a cheat. I get it. Yeah. I mean, a lot of the game is down to the manipulation of these slow and fast powers. So having a spirit that basically says we don't care about this can feel like it's like, oh, is this like playing on
It's
easy
cheating the
mode?
game.
But not really, because swiftness still has weaknesses. As much as he's really good at blowing up towns and buildings, not very good at taking out lone explorers. You can't zap an explorer from the sky. So if the
Yeah,
explorers
can't
start
really
spreading
keep
like
them from
crazy,
building.
yeah.
Yeah.
So you've got to let them build, and then you've got to zap them. But the
Yeah.
lone explorers, if they spread out, you're in trouble.
And also, I mean, this spirit shares that power with other, like it has a card that can speed up other spirits. So it helps the whole game move
Yeah.
smoothly. It isn't like a selfish power or anything like that.
I forget to use some of the aspect cards with these as well, the ones that can change their abilities, because I'd be interested to see, because I'm curious. So I've got a feeling, because Mark said it felt like a cheat. The aspect ones changed some of the special rules, or they changed these ones? Because I'm wondering whether the aspect for Lightning and Swift Start changes that special rule.
I haven't played with them.
I can't remember if it's those powers or that. And maybe it's maybe it's a mix. I think it depends on the spirit, but yeah, fair enough. But yeah, say there's nothing wrong with it.
Game, I don't think it's a cheat.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It's in the game,
I'm
and
not making up rules.
yeah, so we're not breaking the rules. I mean, the spirit lets us do this. I mean, some of the other spirits do some wild and wacky things. Especially some of those high complexity ones. I mean, some of the stuff they do is like, okay, that's breaking the game in some respects. Sure, well, yeah. Maybe they'll like our fours more.
Okay, number 4 is River, Surges, and Sunlight. And this is a low complexity spirit that I only started playing this past year. And that's because one of my husband's favorite spirits is Ocean's
Hungry
11.
Grasp.
What is it?
Ocean's 11. That's a movie. That's a heist movie.
I know. The Ocean's spirit. So even though they really don't have that much in common, there shouldn't be conflict with those two. I always felt like I should pick a spirit that was more inland, or more of a land spirit when he would pick ocean. So I just didn't play this one very much until recently. And what I really like about it is that although he is kind of a slow goer, it takes him a while to ramp up, his final innate power is so good. It just is like unlimited damage, 2 damage to each invader, as long as you can repeat, as long as you can, fulfill your elemental requirements. I mean, you could take out so many invaders just with this one innate power. And what else did I say I really liked about him? It is thematic, and it's
Mm.
just he shares energy with other spirits. He has a card that allows other spirits to gain the energy for every card that they play, which is huge. So I
Mm.
just like what he brings to the table, and I also like that he kind of I kind of overlooked him for a really long time.
Rivers
So
Rivers is a cool one. I do like
yeah.
that one. The interesting thing is, Mark's already mentioned like his absolute favorite, the Thunder Speaker and Ocean's
Mm-hmm.
Hungry grasping that, although without Jagged Earth. But the other mentions like River's Surge is the best introductory spirit in his opinion.
Hmm.
It's not a difficult spirit, I admit. I'm not sure if I would give this one as a first one though, because when you want, if
It's a lot
somebody's
of
saying like,
slow.
well, it's got a lot of the slow powers, so it's got to be prepared. But the other thing with it is that a lot of it is this. Yes, it's got some offense, but not a ton of it. I think that bar chart's a little bit high for what it offense is. I think it's only this that
That's
does a lot of
true.
damage, but mostly it's control and
Mm-hmm.
utility. And I just think that if you're introducing someone new to Spirit Island, and I'm telling you, right, and they're asking me, right, how do these spirits work? How can you summarize them? Saying that this one blows stuff up just feels like a much easier thing for them to get. It's like,
Yes.
what do I do with this spirit? You're a big bird of lightning. What do you think you do? It's like you blow stuff up. Whereas if
Right.
I give them River, they've got to very
They've got
quickly
to
grasp
move
the idea.
people out of the
Hmm.
way. So you got to know where to move them to. So you really have
Yeah,
to understand the process of the game. Yeah, I agree with you
yeah, which
on
is
that
fine in
one.
the multiplayer because they could help you with that. But if
Yeah.
you try to play this one solo and this was your first ever game, I think you wouldn't necessarily know the best way to move the invaders. So I
Right.
just feel I wouldn't necessarily want to give it to someone first. It's still low complexity, but
Mm-hmm.
it's teaching an aspect of the game that maybe will take a bit more
Yeah.
time.
True. True.
Oh, but that
So
thank you,
yeah, I
Fasai.
like that one.
Can't catch it live. Wanted to tell you and like was it to like and tell you you're both super awesome. Well, thank you very
Oh,
much.
thanks.
We got some lovely people there.
We need all the encouragement we can get. Thank you.
It helps. It helps me get through my weekly therapy sessions. But I don't have weekly therapy sessions. But yeah, this one interesting. I think lightning might teach the game wrong because you're using all powers fast. I think
Sorry.
yeah, it is kind of breaking a power in a sense. Yes, lightning is teaching you to do all powers fast, but I
Mm-hmm.
just feel that because that's such a hard bit of the game, I think it's just nice for that new player to go, look, if you just understand how growth works, what presence is all about, what the invaders do, because after all, they need to be able to understand how to manipulate the invaders that when
True.
they do ravage and build. I just think if they grasp that off the get-go, then they can start worrying about tactics with slow and fast. I mean, to
Mm-hmm.
each their own. I mean, you could come up with reasons for why each low complexity spirit is introductory level, and I'm not
Yeah.
gonna harp too much about it. It's pretty good either way.
Yeah, and it just as a reminder, like these are just what Luke and I are enjoying the most right now. So
Oh
there's
yeah,
like,
we're not doing
and we're not
strategies.
saying like this is the best for this person or anything like that. It's just what we like, and I don't know.
Nah, it should be
That's all
good.
it is.
Ready, so my number 4, to remind myself where it is. Yes, one thing I definitely do like in this one is when you get the tokens from the newer sets. This is not
Yeah,
this is a Jagged Earth spirit that
a
I'm
jagged
really
earth. Okay.
enjoying. All right, so it's one of the later ones, and
Mm-hmm.
oop, wrong thing to turn off. The idea with this is that I like the beast tokens, and I like what you can do with a lot of them, particularly when the events come up and that. And again, this is also quite a thematic one that I enjoy, but I love the idea that this is it's nice to say, oh, here's this big entity that's the spirit who's coming at you. But
Mm-hmm.
I love the idea that you've just got all the creatures of the land just basically rise up and tell the invaders to get lost. Like I
Yeah.
mean, it is called Many Minds Move as One for a reason. I mean, the
Right.
picture says it all. That is a horde. That is Alfred Hitchcock's The Birds, you know, in a picture form. And even without that, when you play the cards, it's not just a flock of birds. It's also like swarm of bugs, swarm of
Mm-hmm.
critters. It's basically whatever can swarm is going up against the invaders, which
Yeah,
is
yeah, that's
thematically
true.
so much fun to me. but
Yeah.
it does a lot of cool stuff with the beast tokens. You can push and pull them from all sorts of places. Those beast tokens with the cards this one uses can do a lot of cool stuff damage wise, even though their offense is low.
Hmm.
But they certainly do have some slightly complex innate powers, and I must admit it's a lot easier to trigger this side than it is that side. But they are very good at controlling the landscape. Their defense is very good when they've got those tokens out, and
Hmm.
they do one of my favorite things to do in this game, which is generate fear. It's
Yeah.
like, I'm all right blowing stuff up now and again, but I really want to scare you off this island as fast as possible.
Right.
And, you know, at the end of the day, this is a swarm of everything coming at you. Just basically, like, I mean, the birds may not be scary by themselves, but this is a swarm of birds that's basically out to peck your eyes out. It's, you know, whether it's Alfred Hitchcock's The Birds or Birdtastic or whatever, Birdemic or whatever that stupid horror film was. It's
I don't
it's
know
a
that one.
it's a really low quality B horror movie.
Yeah.
It's more hilarious than it is like you know that, but it's just one of those low budget gory movies. But yeah, this one just, I love manipulate the amount of manipulation of the beast tokens, because sometimes you start off with one in the game and then it doesn't do a lot. The
Hmm.
events will trigger it now and again, but you won't necessarily get more, and it just kind of just hangs around there. When you've got this one, you're spamming the things.
Right, right. Yeah, I thought this one was really well done. This was one of the first spirits we dug into from the expansion, and it the theme is just so good in this one. And yeah, I like it a lot.
All of
It was
that.
a good pick.
Oh, that's it. This one is literally one that makes me wish to have Jagged Earth ASAP. It's just, I don't
Uh,
think I wanted Jagged Earth
yeah.
anyway because I'd seen other spirits we play, but I don't think I looked up the spirits before I got Jagged Earth. So, but I agree. Yeah, if I'd seen this one, I'd have probably been like, "Oh, that does sound pretty." And to be fair, when I started on the Jagged Earth spirits, this was the first one I played, because once I got the box and it's like, oh, who can I play out of this slot? It's like, oh, I'm playing this one first, definitely.
Mm.
So it really didn't have a problem. And hello, Chris. Yeah, you haven't
Hello.
missed too much. We've talked about the game, but we're only just about to start our freeze. So yeah, that is. Oh yes, because you have done your freeze. Fair enough. So I am so like all over the shop with the menus on this thing right now. So,
Oh, I think it looks beautiful.
yeah, but trying to get like the right things. I'd
Oh,
always try
sorry.
to be
It's
professional.
harder
Always
to
try to
get.
be professional. And it's madness. Oh well, maybe it's this coffee I'm drinking. No, it's decaf. It shouldn't be having an effect.
Maybe
I'm glad
that's
I
the
just.
problem.
I did because it's hot here at the moment, because it's summer in the UK. I did contemplate having a cold cider. I'm so glad I decided not to, because I think
Later, later.
that'll be for this evening. I've got a lot of stuff to unbox later. All right, on to freeze.
All right, number three.
Hmm.
Ah! Were you expecting this one?
Once I see the picture. No, actually, I didn't guess this one.
I played it.
And oh yeah, and River, I almost put River on your list. I didn't in the end. So I took that
Oh,
off.
got one, got one.
So I'm actually, well, you got me on this one as well. I didn't think
Okay.
Thunder Speaker would be on it.
Yeah, so I played Thunder Speaker, and this is the reason I said this one, because I did, a top 10 of the ones I hadn't played for certain reasons. This was my number one, and mostly because of having to deal with the the invaders in the build phase as opposed to ravage phase was just kind of a real hard mental problem for me. I just never played it very well. And so I finally tackled it because a lot of my viewers were like, you just got to work at it and play it solo so you don't have to worry about anyone else playing with you. And I was like, that's perfect. I should do that. So I've been playing it, and I really like. I've come to really like it. And one thing that I enjoy about her is the fact that it's making me play Spirit Island better in overall in general. It's just helped me finally grasp the idea of like addressing invaders in the build phase and how much of a benefit that is, as opposed to waiting to ravage, which seems like an obvious thing, but this spirit has really helped me in that regard. And I also appreciate that once you have her built up, her innate powers all speed up. Like if you get 4 wind, her powers like become fast. And this was like mind blowing to me when I could start speeding up her powers. I was like, this is awesome. So I've just been enjoying her, and it was a new spirit for me, a new to me spirit. So, anyway, Thunder Speaker is 3. Are we on 3 or 3?
It's your free. She
Okay.
wasn't at the moment. I need to play her more, but she wasn't even remotely considered when I did all
Really?
this. I did a poll a while back when I was doing that. Right after playing a bunch of spirits like once each, I did a thing on the Facebook group where I said, right, here's my initial impressions of them all in terms of ranking. Thunder Speaker was my second lowest.
Oh wow. Okay.
And I
Yeah.
think a
And
lot of that is just because I don't know how to play her that well. I have one.
it's hard.
I haven't lost with her,
Yeah.
but
Like
the
she's considered moderate. I think there's a
but
lot more going on here.
yeah,
I think
she.
she should be high.
I think she
But
should be high as well because as much as I won with her, it was like touch and go because I thought oh god I am not playing this well because I couldn't find
yeah.
I find like you need Dahan powers to turn up from the deck and if they don't I'm thinking well she's all about Dahan if I don't get any more
Yeah.
Dahan powers what exactly am I
The
doing with her?
the thing is
Yeah.
like you have to like I said, you really have to jump on any invader and do damage to them before they build, really,
Mm,
which is difficult to do. And then you also have to, or not, yeah, when they're in the build phase is when you
yeah.
want to take care of them. And then you can't lose any Dahan. They're almost as important as losing your presence because if you lose a
Yeah.
Dahan, you can lose your presence up to one range away, one land away. So it's critical that you're just on your toes. And you can't really make those simple mistakes early in the game. You gotta like keep on the invaders and don't lose any Dahan. You have to guard them with your life. And then it's pretty easy.
Yeah,
Then she
it's
kind
something
of
I need to
sings.
learn. Try to like prepare in advance for something is something I find tricky in Spirit Island, which is why she was a bit harder for me to use in
Yeah.
certain other ones. And it's like,
Yeah.
yeah, I've already said why I don't like. But it's not that I think she's bad. It's just that my
No.
first impressions of her were not fantastic,
Great.
mainly
Okay.
because she was more of a bugbear to get used to. I get that she's
Yeah.
powerful because when I did
Totally.
win with her, it's like you said, stuff clicked like
Mm-hmm.
okay now she's really coming into her own
Yeah.
but I never quite got to that click stage until very late possibly
Fair
because I was
enough.
just playing her
Yeah.
badly
Well, I
so
mean, this is
she just needs more plays.
yeah, like this is my 5th year playing Spirit or 6th year. I don't know. I've been
Hmm.
playing forever, and I'm just getting into her now. So I
Yeah,
mean,
she's talking
I
about
totally
sixth
get it.
year. She's talking about 6 year. I'm talking about sixth week. You know, give me a break.
You have plenty of time, Luke. Don't worry.
Yeah, I need to get more plays of her, and that's definitely on the agenda because I get why she's powerful, and I know she doesn't have to find Dahan cards out of the deck, although it would be nice if she
No.
did. But there's only so many of
Yeah.
them in the deck, period. But it's just yeah, that I think it's because every time I pick up a spirit where both their innate powers are slow, I'm like, oh god, this is going to be a bit of an extra
Yeah.
work, isn't it, to figure out how they work. So I'm always like with this one, I was so desperate to get to 4 air, like
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah. Definitely. Yeah. And I think, like you said, you do have to get lucky with the minor powers or whatever power
Mm,
deck you're pulling from. Anything that's going to manipulate the Dahan is like it allows your presence to move around so much that it's a huge benefit that other spirits don't have that ability to move
mm.
their presence like that. So in that regard, like if you get lucky with minor power cards, it's like a huge bonus.
It
Anyway,
certainly does help
I
because there have
enjoyed
been
her.
some there. Oh no, I mean, like I say, I didn't think she was bad. It was just like my
She's not
first
bad.
impression as
Yeah.
I thought. I thought, oh god, I got to work so hard with her. Where's her power? Then eventually I spotted, oh yeah, she is quite powerful. But
Yeah.
I think with the other spirits, they clicked for me quicker than it
Mm-hmm.
did. But yeah, but like I say, I just need to play her more often. And I'm sure I can ask my friend Craig here to to help me out with that because he's one of the people. He's one of the players I mentioned who's played this
Oh,
a
cool.
damn
Hi,
sight
Craig.
Dab's like more than I have, put it that
Oh.
way. So I'm very commonly online playing it, and I'm just like, can I join? It's like
Aw.
no. It's like, well, we know that we wouldn't want to play the game with 4 players or more. So when you've got 3, you kind of have to like, yeah, we know we don't want to play this with 4.
Right.
But yeah, nah, like I say, I just need more practice. It'll definitely happen, and then who knows? You'll like skyrocket up the charts. Because I mean, I do like using the Dahan to
Mm-hmm.
do things.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was why I was keen to play her quite early. Maybe I just played her a bit too early. She might have been one of the first like moderate
Yeah.
spirits I played, and it's like maybe I just needed a bit more practice with the game first before I jumped into Thunder Speaker because she's definitely not the most intuitive in the lot.
Yeah.
requires a bit more work. All right, now number 3. So I mentioned on the last one that one thing that I like to do is scare the people off the island. Who better to do that with than the bringer of dreams and nightmares?
Ooh, he's so scary.
I know, but look at it. It's of course.
Oh
I
my
mean,
gosh.
I want to scare you off this island. I am now the embodiment of fear. I mean, that's just awesome anyway. If
Definitely.
that thing's coming towards you, you're running like crazy anyway. And because I love to generate fear, like all get out, that's like, yep, definitely, I'm doing this. Some of the major powers are very good at generating fear, like stupidly broken amounts of fear. So getting one of those with this guy is like so much
Crazy.
fun.
Yeah.
I mean, what did I have last time? Like petrifying thoughts or something like that. It's like it does stuff with disease, but it just basically meant like that with everything else was just fear
So
everywhere.
when you play him solo, this is like a dumb question, but how do you kill anything? Are you literally just going through the fear deck, hoping that nothing blights, or
No,
because
I
you
mean
can't damage
uh,
anything, correct?
it's not the easiest solo game I've had. I will admit,
Okay.
but I think by that time I got a bit more used to it. I mean, you've got to do it a bit like River Surges. It is very much control with it because
Gotcha.
a lot of the powers that on the cards he's got, I think, allow you to kind of because naturally it would just basically generate fear instead of destroy, but you can move some stuff around. But there's also a couple of cards he's got which allows you to kind of defend based on fear generated in an
Gotcha.
area, and I found
Yeah.
myself using that a lot. Like
Okay.
right, okay, some blight's going to get through, but that one really ought to not. If I haven't pushed away something else, or like had the, I think, and also in the game I was played, as much as we mentioned Thunder Speaker, and I wasn't very good at using the Dahan effectively with her. I
Hmm.
found that the Dahan were just basically like my own private army when I played this guy,
Gotcha.
and
Yeah, the
each time
Dahan. Okay.
because you have to because I mean with this card that allows you to defend a bit based on fear generated, I make certain that the Dahan are in that location. So it's like you
Okay.
don't do enough damage to blight the island, the Dahan will finish you off. They're my damage dealers, which gives me more
Gotcha.
fear on
That
top of
makes
all the
more,
other fear
yeah.
I'm
Of
doing.
course, that
So
makes
it's
sense that you'd use the Dahan in there.
yeah, and with the pretty decent energy generation as well, this is also one of those spirits that's very good at getting major powers off the bat because
Hmm.
some of the spirits just really don't suit major powers, whereas this one does. I'm happy to stay on 2 card plays for a while if it means that one of those is a major power on a regular
Yeah.
basis.
Yeah.
And it
True.
works on there. And like I said, I remember this one because I knew this wasn't going to be one of yours because you hate the fact that this guy's so scary.
So scary.
It's like, look, it's a scary picture, yeah, but it's not like I'm looking at the picture and going, it's just like. I mean, granted,
I
if they
should
do an
I should
if
try to play him solo just to like get over my fear.
it it is hard, but what's funny about me wanting to scare people off the island? It's like so I don't. It's part of the game. You're generating fear, but I just like the idea that the invaders have come by, and it's not a case of we've killed them all in like cold blood or anything. It's a case of you're on my island, get out.
Get off.
so,
Yeah.
so, I'm gonna make you witness your worst nightmares, and I think when we played this in multiplayer, that we have joked about what these nightmares actually are. It's like usually like crazy things for different people. It's like what would your nightmare be? And it would just be like something really stupid. And but this one, even with night terrors, I mean, you play a lot. You get enough cards out, you're just spamming fear like crazy. I mean, that's what it
Yeah.
basically does. Fear, fear. Get it out, and in multiplayer it works quite nicely, providing you've got 2 other players with you who are like, yeah, can you guys deal with these guys? I
These
kind of
guys.
need to
Yeah.
work on my fear engine. So yeah, it's a solid one for me. Just
Cool.
I want to generate fear, and I look as crazy as that. So, but thing is, I'm just worried if they do another expansion of this, which they really don't need to. But if they did, if they do like a spider spirit or something, I'm sorry, I ain't playing that.
Ooh.
That would be the one where
super cool.
no,
Oh,
if they
Jona
do
wouldn't like that.
I would hate it. I wouldn't even look at the board. That would be the one that I pick it up and go, oh, these are Is that I would not want to play a spider spirit at all. That would just freak me out. I think they'd be mad for even trying that with the artwork that they've done for these
That's
spirits.
actually, someone's gonna be listening and be like, oh, that's a good
No,
idea.
no, I don't want no fan made spider spirit. Not happening. So it's not happening. There's already a card in the game called Death of venomous swarm
There
of
is a
venomous
spider
spiders.
card. Yeah,
Yeah,
you're right.
which is actually annoying because I think actually come to think of it, the last time I played this one, oh no, when I last played Many Minds Movers 1, I had that major. The Venomous Stings one. So
Okay.
basically, I won with Many Minds Movers 1 with Venomous Spider cards. It's like, that is not something I should be doing for my own sanity's sake.
The
uh,
swarms of spiders.
yeah, not something I want to come across anyway. Curious mentioned, do I have the promo spirits? Well, we haven't discussed them in general, but we do. I do have them all. I don't know about you.
Yeah, we have them all.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
we've
the
got them.
fire and the serpent and the birds. Yep.
Yeah, they're all available. The only thing we mentioned was that neither of us have played Fractured, Starlight, or Finder of Paths Unseen because they're the very high complex ones, and naturally I'm getting them to the last, and you had your own reasons. So those are the only ones we've revealed that we have not played. But I've played every other spirit at least once, so I know that for a fact. Alrighty, on to tools.
All right. Well, this one was one that I'm pretty sure you knew was coming. This is lightning swift strike
Yes,
for my number 2.
2 for
And
5. Yes.
yeah, and for the reasons that we've mentioned, I really do
Yeah.
enjoy this spirit. If I've had a long day, but we still are like just want to get a game in, this is the
In
spirit
fact,
to
I
go
typed
to.
this one out on 2. Funny enough, actually, I didn't even
Oh,
have to
really?
amend. I didn't even have to
You
amend
nailed
this one.
it.
I got the rank, and I know you're number 1 already, so that's a given. So yeah, 3 for 5. I'm pretty good.
So yeah, I really enjoy this one. I like the ease of play. I like that it makes me feel really powerful, like kicking off those houses, and I feel like I can take on almost any, well, I shouldn't say that, but I can take on whatever challenges the adversaries we want to choose. So I really like that, and I also like teaching this spirit to other people, which we talked about. It just lends well to beginners, because of the way it is pared down to just focus on those fast powers. Now you can play like some, like his speed is on the board printed slow. So it's only a matter of having those elements to change things to fast. Most of them are changed to fast, but sometimes you do have to deal with the slow. But the point is, it's really great. It's fun to play, and it's my go-to for myself and for teaching others.
As I say, this is definitely our vote for like the first spirit to teach anybody, and
Yeah,
so
yeah.
and I say a crossover. It'll be the only crossover we have. I know that for a fact, but definitely one on there because definitely we've got very you like some of the lower complexity spirits. I'm fine depending. It's more what characteristics of the spirits are the ones that we gravitate towards as our favorites, and definitely, or like how you try to win the game in general. And I know that we differ on that one, so it's definitely affecting that. But yep, yeah, nothing wrong with lightning swift strike. We like the big electric bird.
Yep. We like
And
blowing
birds
things
in
up.
general. Yeah, now and again. Right, now I think you mentioned this one earlier on because so I think your husband's gonna like me now, but
Oh.
basically this
Oh,
was the one I played. Thanks.
Sorry.
Thanks. Spoilers. Yes, I don't even get to do an introduction. Right, it's Oceans. Moving on. Number 1.
Sorry.
Imagine if I pressed the one intro now. That'd just be hilarious. But yes, it's Oceans Underground Grass. This is the one that when I said, well, actually, getting on to a previous point Grace mentioned, I have not actually used the aspect cards with the spirits yet. I've tried to play like every spirit at least a couple of times, so I've got a lot of plays in. But yeah, I haven't had a chance to use the aspect cards. But they're probably next on the agenda, to be honest, because I want to try some of them out. Because you had a river aspect card that worked well last time, but. When I got taught that second game, the one that made me realize, okay, yes, this is long with multiplayer, but I want to get Spirit Island now. That 3-player game, this was the spirit I picked. So I jumped in at the deep end on my return there with Ocean's Hungry Grass because I figured, okay, it sounds dramatic. It's got a limitation, but I got 2 people with me who know what they're doing, so they can help me through it.
Yeah.
But you want the embodiment of theme in these spirits, though. This took some work by Greater Than Games because, I mean, first of all, you're basically the ocean. That's already cool. You're drowning invaders. That's awesome. And
You
Everything
get
about... Sorry?
you get energy from invaders, right? That you swallow up.
Yeah, the ones
That's
that
so
you drown
cool.
give you
Yeah.
energy.
Yeah,
But
I
it's
played
just
it a
this...
while ago, but
But it's with this thing of like gather a presence into each ocean and push them. So basically, the growth options function exactly like the tide. That
mhm,
is
brilliant.
basically the perfect thematic representation of how the spirit would work. But even then, I like that limitation of, you can't do jack on the inland one. Your friends have got to help you with that. But the 3-player game we had, we got to a point, I can't remember who it was. I think they really put me in the deep end because I think we were fighting Scotland as well, or
Oh.
Sweden, one of the two. One of the two that like coastal areas. So they basically...
Oh yeah.
So I said,
Yeah.
I'm going to be the coastal spirit. Fine, let's go against the adversary that's good on the coast. Thanks, guys. But yeah, but they, it helped on there. And I liked that limitation. This is also another fear generator because pound
Mhm.
chips to splinters, if you can get that going, can be pretty good. Not to mention drowning is already a good fear generator in itself. Um, but I just love that thematic idea of like, I'm not just scaring you off the island. The way I'm scaring you is basically by just like glomping things.
So, yes.
And when I've got neighbors who are playing like River Surges, and I can't remember who the other one was playing. I know Craig was playing River. I forget who Danielle was playing, but he was obviously pushing people into the ocean or so. It's like,
Right, because
oh
they can control that. Yeah.
yeah, it's like, do you want some more things? Like, yeah, thank you.
Thank
Take a
you.
few of those, but we practically broke the game a bit with the combination we had because with ocean there is a major power card in Jagged Earth, which is bonkers FAQ rhythm, but it basically allows you to merge lands together for
Oh
the
yeah.
purposes of doing
Yeah.
stuff. Like two lands become a land. And we also had a
Yes.
power
What
from
is that?
something else that allowed us to copy powers. Or somebody was playing the spirit that allowed them to copy
Oh,
powers
was
and
it
that.
downpour drenches the earth or the
No,
bird?
oh no, not the spirit. I think it was another power card that allowed it or
Oh,
something.
it's a power card. Okay.
But the one that basically merged lands together we had, I forget what the card is, maybe Craig knows it, but the cool thing we had was we basically spammed that like crazy. We created this monumental like single land mass at the bottom of the area, and we read the FAQ by combining it with the ocean. It basically turned the entire land mass into ocean.
Oh, that's amazing. Into
So every
coastal.
Yeah, so basically
Oh gosh.
everything on that single landmass that we pushed into it for the rest of the turn turned into food. So, that's the one, yeah. Weave
That's
together
pretty
the
fun.
fabric of place. So we turned a single landmass into a giant lump of
Okay.
food where I mean if I can't bring it up now on screen, but there's a meme with Kirby, like the pig blob from Nintendo or something, where it's at the edge of a table and the food is just like being vacuumed in or something. That's basically what I did on the center of the table. I just opened wide like, as all these towns and cities just swept into my gullet. It was like so much fun. I mean the amount of energy and fear I generated from that was ridiculous. But yeah, I mean, Mark's shocked as well. Is that that's the thing with this game. This game just creates little scenarios like that. You remember these stories,
That's
you
true. Yeah.
know, which worked on there.
That's
So
really
I mean,
cool.
Ocean's popular with a lot of people, and I can see why. Thematically, it's
Yeah.
great. Mechanically, it's fun, and it has one of those key weaknesses that you've got to overcome, but doesn't like tank you. I mean, I've played this solo, and I've done well with it solo. You've
Yeah.
just got to mitigate the
Gotcha.
problems that you can't deal with inland very much. I don't know. It's always it's always a good one. I'm still laughing about the idea of like the being Kirby basically as
It's
the
just
ocean
gobbling
spirit.
everything.
It was. I mean, we
Yeah.
were. I mean, they did a lot more of the planning than I did. I'll admit, but it's just when it dawned on me, like, so hang on, we're going to turn this into one giant ocean. It's like
It's so great.
everybody just kind of lit up at that point. Yeah. So oceans are wordy too. Right,
Very.
ones. All
Okay,
right.
so
Well,
my
I
number
is no shock whatsoever,
are you
unless
okay.
unless you prove me wrong, and then I want answers. Wrong. That's not your favorite. I know it's not your favorite.
That's the one I picked. I
No,
love
that
this spirit.
no way. That's your favorite.
This is my number one. This is the
Oh,
one I love to play. I mean it.
that
I think the
is
one you were
not.
thinking of is
Oh, wait. Yeah, don't say it. We'll get on to that one. But yeah,
so this is
I'm
one of my favorite
shocked.
spirits. Yes,
Now
no,
I've got to type it. Thanks.
I played this. I the first time I played it, I was like, this is my spirit. I love this spirit. It uses the beast tokens just similar to the way that Sharp Fangs uses the beast tokens. But first of all, I'm trying to remember. The presence of your spirit moves with the beast tokens with Sharp Fangs, and it also does with this one. It moves your sanctuaries around, but it also moves Dahan, which is so cool because this guy generates a ton of fear and defends. His innate power is based off of the elemental powers and then how many beast tokens you can generate.
It's okay. We got it on the screen, so yeah.
So the fact that in addition to that, they add the Dahan working and that you can move them along with you. Like they're one of the cards from the deck that you get with him is that you get to move Dahan around. So I just
have you got the card there?
What's that?
Have you got the card there? I wonder how well it will come out. Probably not.
All right. Yeah, I
can't read the fans. The fans know what it is, but you wouldn't be able to read the text if you were new. So,
well, he doesn't actually he doesn't really have offense. He's defending and he's generating tons of fear, and then you're able to really move all the time. You can move around quite a lot with him. There's a lot of thematicness, which you talked about as far as being a flock, but then it's also extremely effective, and it's just fun to have the freedom to move a lot. What is it about it that lets you move? You're moving along with the beast. Then you can move. You can
it's the joining of swarms. Yeah.
You can go up to 2 lands away, which that doesn't really happen in other spirits unless you have cards or something that is letting you increase your range. So I really enjoy that. Anyway, this is my new favorite one.
I was gonna say definitely your new favorite, but we'll get onto that. We'll get onto that after I've done my one. But yeah, like I say, many minds do love it.
Yeah.
So fair enough. Right. With that one, I had to retype that one as well. Now you recently mentioned what my number one is in terms of in passing. You mentioned it recently. Okay. In fact, so recently that you said it literally about 10 seconds ago or something. This was the first one I played. I think. No. I tell a lie. The Ocean's Hungry Grass thing that I mentioned, that wasn't the first game I played when I got back into Spirit Island. That was a subsequent play. Okay. Now it's coming back to me, actually. Yeah, this is the spirit I played on that game for definite. And I love Sharp Fangs. People do not give this one enough credit. Granted, maybe it's a little bit harder to work with than some others, but this was the first one I played when I came back, and as much as you've got to deal with the fact that there's blight everywhere, I still love the way this spirit works thematically and mechanically. But besides the fact that he basically reminds me of, I forget his name, it's not the Nothing, it's the servant of the Nothing or whatever from the Neverending Story. It's that dark wolf.
Yeah.
That taunts as Atreyu for ages. It kind of reminds me of that. But again, this is using the beast tokens, which I liked. I like having 2 growth options. That's also a nice one there.
That is really fun. Yeah.
It's also one that I can kind of go, because some of the spirits you think, all right, should I go top track or bottom track? And you're kind of feeling, well, I'm always going to do this one. This one I've actually had success doing both. Right. If you go top, you get the symbols and you get some more energy, but you're obviously limited on the cards. But if you were to literally just get lots of cheap minor powers from the draws and spam all the way up to 5, being able to reclaim 2 just means you never have to do this bit. So you can constantly get energy from here and adding more presence whilst being able to reclaim 2 cards and spam 5 cards. It's just boom, there goes my hand.
Oh, okay.
It can work. Both of them have worked. I like doing it both ways. But similar to many minds, your presence and moving with beasts, which I find handy. I've actually used Call Forth Predators to destroy my presence to get more beast tokens, especially if I know it's going to be a power play. Especially if I've got a Frenzied Assault coming, I need to remove a token, or I've got a card that does stuff with beasts. It's I want to use beast tokens. Fine, kill a presence. You only need so much presence on the table with this one. you got to get your presence off your board, but you only need so many on the actual table in terms of territories because a lot of your stuff's got good range.
Yeah,
So
that's true.
fine, turn some into there. But this also goes quite high because of the thematic tie-in with it, not just because it looks like that Wolf from the Never-Ending Story,
Yeah,
but
the
when
artwork.
I like made that joke of like Fern Gully the game earlier or something, I like the idea that it's nature rising up against these invaders. It's just great for me to sort of picture the fact that this is all the cats, all the giant cats, all the wolves and everything of the jungle, basically just nabbing all the lone explorers and eating them. Just because all the cards are like that. With there's one in particular which like the picture always makes me laugh at it. It's literally like the explorer with his nails like being dragged
Yeah.
into a bush by a panther that's got it.
Right.
And it's just like, yes, that's what the spirit is. It's like these explorers are just getting lost, and then suddenly you're just going, oh, it's like eating them up.
Where
And
did Eric go?
yeah, so I love that thematic side, but
Yeah.
with the events as well, this one could do some funky things as well because sometimes those events come up and beast tokens get to do bits. Well, if you're playing Sharp Fangs or even Many Minds, you're
Hmm.
putting more on the board. So
Yeah,
suddenly those
for
events become
sure.
and granted, yeah, you might not draw a few of them, so maybe there's a little bit of a swinginess involved. But yeah,
Right.
I have a good time with this one. Yes, you've got to bear in mind that cost to reclaim all. But if
Yeah,
I'm doing the
yeah,
bottom
that
track,
extra
I don't
cost.
care. So,
Yeah.
yeah,
I played this one since I did my video because you were like, you should try it. So I played it and I was like, I don't know. I did what you did where I kept
mm,
the tracks pretty even. And then I was like, I don't even need my presents. I was like trading my presents for more beast tokens.
mm,
So-
you know,
but yeah, I was like, I don't know. I picked mini mines over sharp fangs, but I can see what you mean by going through the reclaim cards so you don't have to, reclaim your whole deck. Then
yeah,
would be an interesting way to do it.
it's it's
So
kind of had
yeah,
it. It's got a good sort of moderate of everything. Like it
it
generates a
is.
good
It's
amount of fear.
yeah,
Yeah, I like
it's
the
more
fear. It
balanced.
generates a lot of fear, but it's got a bit of defense, a bit of control, a bit of offense. I feel like it's kind of like a jack of all trades. Like I can
Hmm.
do whatever I need to as long as I've got the beasts around.
Yeah, and it's only
Granted,
the blight that's really like a limiter that you can't
it's
really do stuff in the blighted areas.
yeah, so it forces me to think harder tactically about how am I going to stop the blood. You want to build, fine, do your building, but I got to stop these ravages. How am I going to do it? And sometimes that might be I've picked up a minor defense power. Well, sweet, yeah, I'm going to use that as often as I can. And particularly if I get to the stage where I'm reclaiming at least one, if not two, a turn, then great, yeah, I'm going to like spam whatever they can. And the as Craig just mentioned, yeah, you combine it with a couple of other spirits that can give you more energy. You can, get a lot of cards played regardless of how much energy they cost. But yeah, it's kind of a bit of everything. Maybe there's a slight bit of that nostalgia and well, not nostalgia, but that thing
Just
of
that
this
theme,
was the
yeah.
first. Well, it's that this was the first spirit that got me back in. I forget who I
Gotcha.
played the first
Yeah.
time, but this was like, right, okay, I got to give Spirit Island another second chance.
Yeah.
Sharp Fang sounds cool because I don't think Craig had Jagged Earth at the time, or if he did, we weren't using those. But I didn't want to use a local base. I sort of kind of wanted to jump in with something a bit different, and this one works. And moderate difficulty, it's not too hard. But yeah, yeah,
Very cool.
get all the big kitty cats in the jungle to eat all the explorers. I mean, that's just great. Who's not scared of that? All right, now I mean, honorable mentions we'll sort of mention briefly because obviously we don't want to go past 90 minutes ideally. But
Hmm.
what happened to Strength for the Earth?
Okay. Well,
That I wrote that
Vital
down on
Strength of
your.
the
That was
Earth.
the first one I wrote down for you.
Yeah,
Where's that
I have.
gone?
Here we go. I have him as honorable mention, and I really I could easily put him instead of Rampant Green. I or even in Rivers. I don't know. I really love this spirit. I had a hard time paring this list down. I'm
I
like
said
five is
because
not enough because
the
these are
that
all really good, and I would happily play these. So yeah, I love Vital Strength of the Earth. I love the fact that you can repeat cards. You can have your other teammates repeat cards. He's a giant defensive like rock
mm,
wall basically. So he is pared down. He's easy to get the theme of and just run with. So
Yeah,
yeah, it was
that
hard to not have him on this list. And I
yeah
could
that
easily,
that
but I
that
wrote
power
it
is
down and
insane.
I'm like, all right, I'm just gonna go with what I wrote.
That power is insane. Yeah, Earth's vitality is
Yeah,
bonkers good.
it's crazy good.
Yeah, but I
I'm
hate
like,
that
I
innate
need to play
power.
this.
That innate power just never goes off.
It
Well,
doesn't. Yeah. Well,
well,
he
if it
doesn't play
does,
a
but
lot of
only at the basic
cards.
level. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's the thing. It's like, how on
You
earth are you
usually
supposed to get that to
you're usually
activate?
just running around defending everything, and you
Mm,
totally forget those powers. But I'm like, next time I play, I am triggering this power all the way to the
yeah.
end.
It's handy when you do get the copy idea. It generates a bucket load of energy. It just
Yeah.
doesn't play a lot of cards. That's kind of
Right.
one of the things. I like the spirit, but it's only so high because I think a lot of the times I'm going for that one big major power, and it's like sometimes I like to play a lot of cards, but
Yeah.
you really don't with the spirit.
This would be good to play with the spirit. What is it? The
Me-
memories spirit.
Memory is shifting ages, I
Yeah,
think.
because you can share elements with people like every turn.
Mm.
This would be really
Yeah,
helpful to have a few extra elements laying around so you could, repeat
yeah,
powers.
that's a great teamwork spirit. Not so good in
Yeah.
solo, but yeah, certainly good on the
He's one of my
teamwork
favorites
side.
for multiplayer. Yeah.
But yeah, but say the last time I watched like your videos content of that, you were like, especially when you did your used to do a few like videos talking about single spirit at the time or something, because like you would go so much into like vital strength for the earth. I felt certain this was your one.
I know, I know. I haven't played it in a while, and I've played so many new spirits that, yeah, it just wasn't a long enough list.
Sure, it was too slow as it goes. So, I mean, it was hard to sort of narrow it down to
Yeah.
five because there are a few. I mean, there's certainly some in this list that I go, yeah, I'm never going to put them high. I mean, like, I'm not a fan of, well, nobody's a fan of Shadows Flicker like Flame.
Yeah.
Wasn't particularly sold on Keeper of the Forbidden Wilds. It works fine, but I just didn't find it that enjoyable.
Right.
Didn't like Shifting Memory unless it was a teamwork one, so that
Right.
wasn't
That one's
going in.
kind of limited and random.
But
A lot of
Volk
people like Trickster.
Trickster's
I
good,
saw,
but I've had two
but
games
it's
with
hard.
Trickster, and one of them was fun, the other one wasn't. It really does
Right.
depend on whether that random power goes off.
It does. It is really tricky.
And one game I had quite a few times, and in one game I just never procced it. Like it always came up with something useless. It's like that's irritating when that happens. But
Yeah.
I feel there was I did a Downpour Drenches that was pretty sweet recently. Shrouds different. I'm
Mm-hmm.
trying to think of ones that I almost wanted to put in the number fives upwards though.
Yeah.
I mean, River Surges was tempting because I do like
Yeah.
that one as a low complexity one, and I think I was quite tempted by Lure of the Deep Wilderness because that one well, Lure of the Deep Wilderness made a very powerful play in the last game I had. Like
So
it just
it had a good
obliterated a ton of
memory.
invaders. Well, yeah, but I also liked it because I felt like this is basically the opposite of Ocean's Hungry Grasp with a couple of tweaks.
It is. Yeah. But it doesn't
Because
work well with oceans at all.
no, I mean it's which is weird. You think it would, but
It
but
doesn't. Yeah. They don't help each other. They're just
but
like
the
isolated from each other.
but it was just more the case that like, I go right, okay, so I've already had ocean who can't do inland, right? Well, let's try it now with inland who
Yeah.
can't do coast, and it was just got like
Right.
a cool
It was
twist.
hard.
And you're a big frog, which is
Yeah.
kind of
And
cool.
you're a big frog. Yeah. I really
In
like
terms,
Vengeance as a Burning Flag. That was one
mm,
of the first ones I played from the expansion. I
yeah,
really like the disease tokens, and when he loses the presence, it leaves disease around. It's just very and he's also in the middle of everything. He has to go where there's
yeah,
blight or invaders. It's a
I
it's a good way to like get over your fear of losing your presence. You just play
yeah,
Vengeance for a little.
I haven't got over that just yet. I mean, I played him. And I liked it and I sort of won eventually, but man, I must have been playing it badly because I just did not. I was thinking, like, why aren't I spamming disease everywhere? Why
Mhm.
aren't I triggering these a lot or something? And I think I just was afraid of losing presence too much, which is not the way to go by. I didn't mind things getting
Right.
blighted, but losing presence was a different story. On part of that with the last multiplayer game I had where I played Stone's Unyielding Defiance, and it's like it took me a couple of like 2 or 3 rounds like playing,
Mhm.
going, nah, I don't want these to ravage. I don't want these. Wait a minute, yeah, I do. It's like I
Yeah,
want these
yeah.
things to blight. It's like, what am I
Messing
doing?
with your brain.
It took me a while to figure out that no, this is how I'm supposed to play Stone. All right, now it's starting to work, and eventually by the end, it's like I'm sort of looking at my two teammates, going, it's like, come on, guys, I've already cleared out most of my guys. You guys slacking off. It's like because once Stone does get going, it's like the defense
Yes.
is kind of off the charts. But is there a spirit that you don't like at all? Is there one that what would be the bottom of your list?
Uh,
Like
list.
the
I'm
the
trying
one
to.
spirit that you would rather not play, or you if it got taken out of the game, you wouldn't care.
Uh, let's see. Where is? Hmm. Okay.
Not
I'm
including one you
really
haven't
think.
played, but
Probably I tried playing Lures a couple times. I really, really didn't like it. But
who?
because
Sorry.
I haven't Lures into the Wild, I really, really didn't like.
Oh,
And
Lure of
I
the Deep
don't know if it's
Wilderness.
just like, yeah, the wilderness one. So I don't know if it's just because of having a poor experience or if it's the spirit itself I don't like. I'm not
It's weird. I
sure.
really liked this one.
Really?
Going at the top, I mean, you get to get so many
I don't
different
know.
elements. The innate powers worked okay-ish, and it weren't too bad. But being able to
Hmm.
gain the elements from there, the cards were fun, and I think this was one of the ones that liked tokens to be all over the shop. So
Yeah, yeah. Let me
because
let me just look here. Who
I
else do I
didn't.
really not like?
Well, while you're looking at that, I mean, I mentioned I wasn't a fan of Shadow's Flicker Like Flame, but not because of how it works, because it is technically meant to be another fear one. So it's like, okay, I like the
Right.
fear part, I just didn't think Shadows was very powerful at all. But I
Hmm.
hear the aspect cards improve them a lot more. But the one that I just really have not liked, and I think it's just because I don't know how on earth you're supposed to play this spirit, is
Hmm.
Volcano Looming High.
Oh,
He's the one I've lost games with because
gotcha.
I don't play on very high difficulties yet, so
Hmm.
I've won more than I've lost. But in terms of I have not won with this spirit yet is Volcano because I just don't know
Oh,
how you're supposed to do this thing. It's like it only pops up in mountains. It then
hmm.
builds off a few presents, barely like pokes the invaders while it's building up, and then you trigger it. You get a few dead invaders, but then all your presence is gone. It's like,
Yeah.
okay, it's like, how on earth you're supposed to trigger the giant, massive eruption? I have no idea. But
I
every time
think
I play
this
this one, it just
guy,
does rubbish.
yeah, I think he is more of a multiplayer where you kind of need other people helping you
Hmm.
push the right amount of invaders into the lands that are gonna
Blow
like
up.
be
Yeah.
most beneficial for that volcano to go off. My husband's played it a couple times. I've seen a couple people play it. It's not one that I'm eager to try, but I do want to. I do want to experience, like, see what it's like to build up the volcano. But
Hmm.
it's intimidating. I'm like, I don't quite get it myself.
This is one that I need to watch other people play. I need to be in a
Yeah,
multiplayer game. Someone else plays Volcano and show me how it's done because I just could not figure this guy out in solo.
yeah, that makes
And I
sense.
thought, oh, I'm a big volcano. This sounds like fun, and it just nothing worked. He's like, I'm building up, barely
Yeah,
touching the opponent, and then I erupt a little bit, and it's like, was that it? It's
yeah.
it's like you
I
got all that build up and all that rumbling of the land, and then the volcano just goes. Psh. It's like,
oh
that's
really?
basically how it kind
Yeah.
of felt like.
Yeah, I think you really need other people to like I remember playing with my husband. He's like, push these, we need invaders here, right here, and then we'll be able to clear them out. So you kind of need another spirit that's able to control where people are going to be uh, for that to be more effective. I'm not an expert though, I haven't played it, so
Hmm.
it's probably not helpful. Probably
Yeah.
someone in the comments will have the solution for us.
But I
I
mean, I mentioned
think
shadows. Shadows, as I said, probably wasn't that powerful, but I still like generating a fear. I can't think of any other spirit that
yeah.
I was like really don't like playing
Downpour,
this one, except maybe shifting memory, and that's only because I play it
yeah.
solo. Shifting memory is really a multiplayer spirit, I think.
Yeah. Downpour Drenches the World is an interesting one because it allows you to repeat a power, but you
Yes,
are limited, I feel, with the amount that you can do. You're just so poor.
that's not a problem
Like,
with this spirit. It's a bit one note though, I would admit, because when I've played it, this is one of the more recent ones I've played. I cannot see how the spirit can physically do major powers until the very late game, and that's the same with
right.
me. It's like you get a major, it's happening in like the last couple of rounds, but getting a bunch of minors with this one that you're willing to spam, especially if they're really good zero cost ones. It's like
Mm-hmm.
spam, spam, spam. And with this, I love being able to trigger this part, although I find myself having to trigger these two growth options more often because I've played it wrong or I'm having to reclaim a lot of cards. But
Yeah.
I am hunting down these water symbols as quick as possible because by the end
Right,
of the games
right.
I was playing, I've got 6 to 8 water symbols triggering in a round, which is like, okay, that can be free energy, 2 energy, and a copy or whatever. So I mix and match, but usually it ends up copying the same power like 2 or 3 times, and it's kind of insane.
Yeah.
And I think it would actually be better for me if I actually read the rules correct on one of the cards. Because for a
That
while
does help.
I
Yeah.
did play it a bit like you at first, where I thought, like, I don't get where the power of this one's coming from, because it's like I'm a bit poor, nothing's really working. This card is absolutely useless in solo mode. Ah, yeah, hang on a minute. And then I actually read the rules on how this worked in solo mode. It's like, oh, so when it's another spirit, you can target yourself. It's
Yourself.
like, whoops.
Yeah, that's
so
true. Yeah.
so this one has a card that basically says you can gain 2 energy or copy of power or something, and it's 0 cost. And it's like, I thought, why would I want this? Why don't I just forget it later? And it's like, oh wait, I can actually put that on myself. It's like, whoops. So every time I had a spare second card to play, it's like, right now I'm playing the wretched thing.
Okay. Okay.
Is that
Gotcha.
my lack of the understanding on the FAQ? But yeah, I mean, this comes in handy, and that came in handy, being able to treat my sacred sites as
Yeah.
wetlands
Yeah,
for.
I think it's just like a different style of play for sure because you're not able you really have to use what they give you
Hmm,
basically and you can't just be looking for major powers or minor powers or
over that.
whatever. I don't know.
It's interesting. The chat, like throughout the whole feed, has mentioned like some of their favorites already. Although they've kind of been the ones that we've kind of mentioned. Like, there's a lot of fans of
This
Thunder Speaker, so I know I'm in the minority of that until I've played her some more. The What have we got here? So with Downpour, green element is actually more important because of the second innate. You could be right on that actually, because
oh,
I struggled to get more. I struggled to get 2 plants in the game I was
to
playing.
remove the blight.
Well, it also gains energy. I mean, it's if
I
you
see.
if you if
Yeah.
you're able to if you're able to get 3 blue and 2 green every turn, that's basically an extra energy gain as well as healing blight. I mean, yeah, you got to remove your presence, but you only need so many of them on the board. But
Hmm.
then get more energy if you. I mean, getting the blues is easy, so it's getting the rest. So
Yeah.
it does have some uses. Although I found myself triggering like these two a lot more because I wanted the defense. How you I mean, 3 air, 9 water, and 2 feet. It's like that is.
Crazy. Yeah.
I came close to triggering it once, but I never got to 9 water. That just seemed like,
That's
how long does the
crazy.
game have to go on for
Yeah.
that one?
I
But
know.
then,
I just feel like it's a lot of work
hmm,
for not a big impact. I don't know.
nah,
No, it's just not mine. It's not my thing.
yeah, we've had no mention of certain ones in here because I had good times with Heart of the Wildfire, just damaging stuff, even though it is quite a difficult one. I had a pretty
Hmm.
powerful game with Serpent, but I don't hear this one being praised much
That
by
one,
others.
consuming other people's presence, like I know there's a benefit to that because that
Up to a
person,
point. Hmm.
yeah, they get something, they get benefits for that,
Yeah.
but it's just not ideal for two player. And I don't know.
In solo, it
I'm
kind of worked
sure
because I
it's
mean, you never had to really do a lot of absorbing essence in solo. I mean, I would fill up 3 of these spots, and I'd kind of be good with that. Like, I never
okay.
felt like I
Well,
had to
how
get
does
all the
it
way
work
up
with
this track.
solo? Are you taking your own presence?
I think it is mainly like you're taking your own, yeah,
Wow. Okay.
because you can absorb your own, and it powers up well, because you're limited on how many presents you can get out. Like, you can only have so much
Okay.
presents on the board, I think, or so much stuff based on
So
how
you're
much you
taking your
absorbed.
presence off to put more on?
I forget
Is
what
that
the limitation is.
okay?
You've got
I don't know. It's just
yeah,
a crazy one.
there's some limitation as to what you can do until you've absorbed a
Yeah.
few. Oh yeah. Sorry, yeah. You start off with 5 on the island, um,
Hmm.
but then basically you're then allowed to have because obviously you need to be able to get them off your board. So you need to absorb some in order to get more off, but it's one of those slow burn ones where it starts off like, come on, just survive, you're doing good, you got a couple of good innates, and then when it does wake up, it's like boom, it just like goes
Hmm.
insane. And as like Kent has mentioned, yeah, I could imagine that green and shifting memory would probably be a good pairing with this one. I've got no idea how fractured even works. That board just looks way too complicated for my liking. Yeah, this is easily going to be, I think, the last spirit I play because it just looks like, what is half of that going on about here? It's like, I don't understand half of this board.
Series. Yeah, it's a lot of new symbology there, or
Hmm.
iconology. I suppose it's a lot of reading. That's what really turns me off. I'm like, I need to play a game. I need to be able to understand it pretty quickly. That's not for me. I'm dyslexic, and I'm like, oh, I'd be sitting there way too
Hmm.
long.
As if I ain't
But
got
my
enough
husband
problems with
really liked
others.
it.
I
He's
mean,
like,
I could deal with this one, so I'll probably play this one at some
yeah.
point, even though
You
that is
know,
a weird way to do it. But
someone
st-
commented with the Finders Path Unseen that you should just pick the two top and then see how it goes and just ignore the crossovers. I'm like, well, that would probably help me just to learn how to play it.
so when you say the two top, what you mean? Just those
Just
two?
like follow, yeah, just follow the top and then follow the bottom
Okay,
and
but
then like go
ignore
from
those
there.
three. Hmm.
Yeah, just to eliminate the confusion. And then once you know how it works,
Well, to be
change
fair,
it.
that
Like
is
you might learn pretty quickly that it's not a big deal. I don't
but
know.
but to be fair, it's the easiest way because all that is elements and some energy gain, and all that is extra card
It's
play. So
cards. Yeah.
it's pretty standard. It's not until you get to those like four here where you get some weird stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean, the fact it's got like negative offense, that's just like, what? How does that even work?
I know.
I mean, it is a promo one, so it's going to be a kind of weird. But Starlight needs to get played at some point, just because this is basically the DIY spirit.
Yeah, I know. I do not need a DIY spirit, honestly. Give me structure, please.
Is to, well, they say
I
like, well, the
appreciate
structure is
that
what
they
you make of
added
it, but
this.
yeah,
Yeah, I think it was a smart move to add a spirit like this because there are so many gamers that like they want to pick their own spirit and do it their own way. I'm like, this is pleasing the people.
yeah.
Hallelujah. Not for me.
I mean, this one has one thing that I can kind of go because I don't know how the elements work with it. What have we got? Revealing that, place an
Yeah.
element marker of your choice. All right, so you can tailor what elements you get because basically these innate powers is all a case of, all right, well, which innate am I getting a lot of cards off? This is where I'm going. So if I do pick up a ton of sunlight, for example, then I'm the fear generator, well, with some reclaim ability. Whereas if I'm picking up a bucket load of moons, then it's like, oh, I can do a lot of moving around with explorers. So
Hmm.
whether that is how you're supposed to play this one, that you like get the elements and then kind of react to what those are. But like I say, it's another one of those high complex ones, and I'm gonna play it. It's just I'm leaving it to the bit later. You know, maybe a multiplayer game or something. Maybe I'll play it then, or watch it being played or something. Then that would give me more of an idea.
Yeah,
This
that's
would be
true. Yeah.
solo. This one would be a weird one, and we've
Yeah.
already been warned that
I
fractured is
agree.
not great as a single spirit. That's not going
Yeah.
to work well for me. There's others there. Right. Whew. All that love for Spirit Island. Yes, we do love it. We
Yeah,
like a
we
lot.
do.
We love the spirits. There's so many to try, and we are not experts by any means. But you know, we've got our reasons for why we like. I mean, you like a lot of the you lower complexity is good for you, but then you like
Hmm.
well, let's say you like River, you like Lightning and Thunder Speaker and that. So you know, you want to be able to just enjoy the spirit rather than get bogged down in too many finicky rules with them, which is
Yeah,
cool. But you also seem to like the control and destroying aspect more because that's what your spirits tend to do.
that's
You know,
true. Yeah.
defend and all that. Whereas I like a bit of the damage now and again. Like I do have lightnings, but then I love the fear generation. So many
Yeah.
minds, sharp fangs, bringer of death. You know, it's like ocean's hungry grasp. It's like all the ones that are pretty good at generating fear because I'm not very good at winning the game on anything. Well, I mean, winning the game on Terra level 1 is like incredibly hard to do unless things go your way.
Right, right.
Occasionally I win on Terra level 2, but not that often. Most of
Hmm.
the time you tend to win on Terra level 3. And to be fair, I've not won.
Usually, yeah.
Yeah, I've not won very often on outright fear victory, although it has happened a couple of times. Just when I had a couple of turns where I just spammed fear like crazy. But yeah, I always like getting to that late Terra level as quickly as humanly possible.
I agree. We often try to focus on fear, and yeah, I don't know. We used to be really worried about blight and never wanting that to happen, but playing Jagged Earth has really helped us get over that fear. Like it's, sometimes you have to break a few eggs to, make an omelet. So sometimes
Even
you get a little
even if
blight.
even if those eggs are human skulls.
Yeah,
It's-
Ew.
Hey, we're fending off these invaders somehow. I mean, what do you think your like vital strength for the earth is doing, eh? It's a giant.
That's
It's
true.
rock.
He's knocking skulls for sure. That's
He's
true.
crushing. He's crushing skulls with his big, strong hands. Yeah, why never-ending stories on my mind a lot lately? I have no idea. But it's Rockbiter.
That's true. Yeah. Oh my gosh, I forgot about him.
How'd you
Wow.
forget Rockbiter?
There should be a never-ending story board game, unless
Well,
it's just Spirit Island. It's
I was going to
already
say
here.
this. Well, it's not technically that, but it's like half of the things in Neverending Story I keep relating to this just because I mean that is Rockbiter before they screwed him over in the third movie. Yeah, you want your jaw to drop. Watch the third movie version of Rockbiter. It is it's hilarious, but it's also I can't believe this is happening.
Oh
In
yeah, I've
fact,
never watched any of the other movies.
don't bother. Just watch the first one.
Okay.
I can't remember. I used a clip of it in one of my reviews recently. I can't remember which one it was though,
I think
but
I think you
I
used
it was
different
it was
things.
I think it was actually in one of my Spirit Island videos where I did use it. I had like the old Rockbiter and then the new one, and it's just like, no, we don't talk of the new one because it's like it's the epitome of jumping the shark. But what kind of spirit? I mean, before so that is there a type of spirit you'd like to see?
Ooh,
Very
yes,
quickly.
I would like to see a blizzard spirit.
Oh, freezy spirit. I like that actually.
Yeah, like a snowstorm in eastern snow spirit.
Yeah, well, even well, I mean, just snow. No, a
And you
freezy
would like
spirit
to
would be
see a
pretty good.
spider spirit.
No,
Is that what? Yeah,
no.
that's what I take. That's what I took away from this
No, you
conversation.
can substitute that in Many Minds Move as one. That's perfectly fine. We're not having
All right.
spider spirits. I
But
dread to think what
what
that
would
would look
yours
like.
be if your imagination could run wild?
I don't know because a lot of these things have already been done, and that freezy one is good. It's a very good one. I mean, I sort of thought like, well, is there one that we could do where everything just like gets hotter and burns? But then that's technically Heart of the Wildfire when you think about
Mm,
it. So it's
or like
uh,
a
um,
drought spirit, like a sand.
again, you could almost call that Vengeance of the Burning Plague as a one. It's hard to say. I
Yeah.
they've used up so many of these ideas, and I mean, I wouldn't say no to another fear type spirit, but I mean, we've had a fair few of those already. You know, the animals one, I suppose there aren't that many that are animal based. I wouldn't maybe say no to that because you've got the bird there. We've got obviously sharp fangs, but then the others, not a lot of them are necessarily animal based.
Yeah, that's
And
true. And
although,
no insects. Like I think your idea is actually spot on. Like a insect,
but that's
something
technically
that
many
eats away,
minds.
like maybe many minds. No, something more like a cockroach or like a.
Look, stop trying to link it back to spiders. What you're trying to do. I honestly can't really think of a proper one that would go in there. I mean, the spider is basically my equivalent of bringer of dreams and nightmares. You know, if he's visiting my land, that's what I'm getting showered with in terms of nightmarish things. I suppose that we need somebody to use up some of the other tokens. I mean, we've got a couple that use the beast. We've got the disease one. I wouldn't say actually. Yeah, I wouldn't say no to something else that used disease because as much
Mhm.
as burning plague kind of uses them. It's kind of on and off. I think that I'd love to see something which just outright diseases the whole land. Wild tokens, we don't see a lot of them apart from Lure and Keeper of the Wilds. I would actually like to see something really use Strife.
Yes. Now,
Strife,
strife is like man kind of fighting man, so maybe like a civil war spirit or
well, because the Trickster uses the Strife token as one bit of one of his innate powers. So it just happens, and one of
yeah.
his cards does like the show. So you
Okay.
can argue that the Trickster is kind of doing that, but something that just like something that incites rage a lot, it
Hmm.
could be interesting. But the Strife token doesn't get a huge amount of love, and possibly the Badland token, something that favors that, because I think Stone's Unyielding Defiance doesn't mind some Badlands, but I don't think any of these outright generate Badlands, to my knowledge. It's hard to say. I mean, my
Yeah.
I can't think of much that I would add, especially after you said the Blizzard one, because that is about pitch perfect. But it's like
Well, vengeance we when it's not generating badlands, but when there's blight, it's like a badlands. It's not really the same thing, but he
is of
uses it a
that.
little bit.
So
Yeah.
you are more than welcome to pass on the Everdell expansion because you don't like spiders. That's entirely fine. Although, to be fair, they look cartoony, and I would actually play that expansion just so I could kill all the spiders. You know, that would be the way we're. But I'll bet there'll be some like, oh, you're not actually killing them. You're just like making them go away. It's like, no, come on. It's like you're giving me
You
this
gotta squish
expansion.
some.
Yeah, exactly. And no, I'm not having a spider spirit. It's like greater than games. If you watch this, do not make a spider spirit. All right. I don't care how cute you make it look.
No,
I
name it
don't want to play
Luke's
it.
favorite spirit.
Luke's biggest fear, spider spirit. Yes, that's what it would just be called. It would just be called Luke's biggest fear. So, nothing else. I know it's not gonna work. Anyway, right, we better start wrapping this up
All right,
because
sounds
Jonah's got other
good.
things to do. So yeah, cheers for joining us. If you like Spirit Island, and hopefully this gave you a lot of fun behind it. If you know nothing about Spirit Island, and hopefully this has given you something to think about in terms of
Yeah.
liking the game, you know, even if you didn't understand half of what we were saying, but that's understandable. It is a complex Euro game, but it is, like I say, most complex Euro games don't get the theme down. This one
Yeah,
does,
it
you know.
does. Yes, and I think that's why I play it at all. Is I don't like complex games. I'm not a heavy gamer, but the theme is really great and it has this great team building experience.
Hmm.
And you can learn at your own pace. Like I was describing the easier complexity, and then you can kind of learn the aspects of the game through those low
Hmm.
complexity spirits to grow and be a better gamer. Like I've learned so much through playing Spirit Island. I highly recommend it to anyone, but know that it's a process.
Hmm.
And
Ditto.
yeah, and what else? I don't know.
Nope.
I
And
wouldn't count yourself out if you're afraid to play it. Just give it a chance and try to play with a low player count and with someone who knows how to play if
yeah, a lot of it comes
possible.
down to the teach. I almost got put off because of a bad multiplayer teach. Once I had a good
And
multiplayer
yeah,
teach, it got better, and then when I played it solo, it got even more better. So it's just like it really does depend. You can't have a bad teach. Don't if somebody says, "Oh, I'm going to teach you this," and there's four of us, tell them to go away because that is not the way to start this game.
yeah,
To you know, but it just depends how you do. But if you don't
and
like it, fine.
yeah,
It's not for everybody. But yeah, we just kind of latched
that's
onto it.
true.
So.
Yeah.
That's it. Right, we're gonna head off. So don't forget to check out One Pip Wonder's channel. Here's you'll see Jona on there doing all sorts, particularly as we said earlier in the stream. If you have if you're a family group of gamers or you got kids or something, Jona is probably the first person I'd suggest to talk to because I
Oh,
don't know
thanks.
jack about that front. So not a lot of people do kids game stuff. So it's like, you're the
Yeah.
resource for that. I'm certainly not. So we'll go with it. Anyway, we'll see you guys later. All right. Bye bye.
All
We're going
right.
to end
Bye.
this. Ooh, cheers.